sir. Back at it again. Back at it like a crack addict. Drunk Tourist Podcast in the building. It's your boy Yates from Atlanta, a.k.a. Wakanda.
And I'm your other host, Jarrell from Portland, Oregon, a.k.a. City of Roses, where we at right now.
City of Roses. That's where we at right now, man. And this is a beautiful place, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But, since Yates is coming from the A, I'm from here in PO. We talking about just, how they're both polar opposites as far as culture,
sure.
Demographics and all that type of stuff. So, we're going to let that roll into the topic today of just, what's it like and the benefits, the pros and cons of just being an anomaly in like a different culture, while traveling and just like living even.
That's real because especially when you really start traveling internationally, you start to see that anomaly a lot, like where you're the only or one of the few. It's like, especially in Asia, it's not a lot of black people traveling, period. Right. But the further you go, the more noticeable the difference is. So, even here, like, I'm from Atlanta, the mecca of black people, pretty much. And, I text you as soon as I landed, like, bro, I haven't seen any black people. Like, this is different. Like,
I know, that's the crazy thing about Atlanta, because you'll go all day without seeing a white person. Don't you realize
low key, high key. Yeah. But it's like, it's pros and cons to it. Like we were saying, we could discuss the pros and cons. Like, I personally love it. Right. Like I told you when we hopped in the car, it's like I like being one of the few or one of the only, because it's like my whole perspective on life is like I'm important.
Right.
So like to me, I'm just not a glass half empty type of guy. So my mind's immediately like, oh, like this is great. Like I don't look at it like a microscope on me. I look at it like a spotlight. So It's just like, when you one of the few, you stand out even more.
That's definitely real.
One of them ones. What about you? What you think?
Yeah, I think the pros is definitely like that. Since we talk about pro, you gave a pro, we'll come back to the con. Like, I definitely think, like you said, you stand out and it makes you appear more interesting, maybe than what you are, what you are, or at least how you really are. But because it's somebody different, it seems like you're more interesting just because you're so different. But at the same time, I feel like that's the beauty of it, because you also find out that we all are the same alike in some ways. Sure. Because even though you're an anomaly, like, people are interested because you're different, but the part that they really find cool is that you like the same things that they like. And that's the part where there's that connection, like when you travel, is because it's like, oh, you're from America, like, oh, you're different. Like, they see the swag, they see how you talk, they hear the lingo. But what makes them really cool is like, yeah, man, I love watching Steph Curry. I love watching Game of Thrones.
It's always basketball.
Yeah, or just something, and then that's where the real connection happens, because you're like, yeah, and then it's like to them that's what point to make it real, because now they feel as cool as you or relate, because that's a culture that comes from your culture in a sense. Even though it may not be, it might be a little like, I won't say racist, but in the sense of just, I guess like stereotype, like sports are just the things that that we associate with, even though you're like, oh, I'm in other stuff too, and okay, I didn't know, like, and it helps break that barrier down, even though you're still different, so I think that's cool, because I just feel like it, it's you hella different, but it also works good as like an equalizer of other cultures, and that's what it's all about.
It opens that door to even discovering yourself a little bit more, like you were saying, because we do really relate on our similarities, and sometimes when you always in the exact same type of environment, you forget that there's more to you. Like sometimes like we out here, you were just telling me about snowboarding. We close to the mountain. Everybody, I've never snowboarded, but I've always been interested. You know what I mean? So it's like, just by the association, as far as like environment, being near a mountain, now I'm considering like, man, I might really like snowboarding. Now let's say we go snowboarding and I love it. Now that's something I get to add to my repertoire. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm a snowboarder. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a blessing.
And I like how you said the part, like when you in that position, you forget about this, you forget that you got the similarities and that you're kind of like that, because I think that's one thing about where I go to Atlanta, where I look at black people, like, in a proud way, like, damn, look at them come together. But then the ones that don't come together, I'm just looking like, man, y'all wasting all this chocolate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got all this support and all your own people.
Right.
you know, that you can be like networking with, you know what I'm saying, and helping like be a part of, but you take advantage of it and you know, treat them as if they are an enemy, or treat them like they are like somebody that's of a different culture who doesn't not really a fan of you. Because here it's like, you know, we envy that, you know what I mean? Like it was always like hard for us, like growing up, like, oh man, they got black people up there, like we playing rap, like we gotta ask these type of questions, like there be niggas in there, like, you know, we gotta ask like if that's our environment that's like that's decent with us before we go somewhere. So it makes some black people here a lot more, you know, you gotta really stand on being black because you are one of the few only blacks. Like people like to think that when you're black around white people or around another culture, like you can't be black, when that's when you have to stand on being black the most. Because it's like you are the only black. You know what I mean? So it's like you had, and you know, and if you at least proud, I mean, obviously it's easy to get washed and stuff like that, of course. Sure. But at the same time, it also makes you want to stand on it like, yeah, I am different than all y'all. And you really got to wear that. You really got to chin up and take, you know, certain type of jokes at companies that you might deal with more often, or on the road, how people might look at you or do certain things. You know, you get a little bit more used to that, and you actually fall back into, I feel like, that early civil rights movement, what it really feels like to be black. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like that's kind of the con of, you know, like being somewhere where you're anomaly.
And I think what we keep kind of running into is this idea of appreciation, because you learn to appreciate in either environment. Like when you look at it the right way, to me, you learn to appreciate being black, whether it's you in an all black environment and you get to appreciate this unity you see, like if we talk about Atlanta, like the opportunity that comes with being black, the pride that comes with being black. Or if you talk about an environment where you're a minority, like the importance of being black and being able to stand on who you are. And you should feel that way no matter the environment. Like I think it's important to not just be black, but be you. And I think that's really what we get into. It's not just like the color, it's like the principles you stand on, the way you think, your opinion on things, like feeling valued in your community or whoever you're speaking to. Like that's being black. It's not just like rapping or sport, like we were saying, like which sometimes it can feel like that in other environments when you're surrounded by people who didn't grow up the same way or listening or doing the same things. You can kind of get put in this box of this is who you are. This is black, but being black is really knowing who you are and like just standing on it. Like this is who I am. These are the things I like. These are the people I'm comfortable around. These are the things I won't stand for. What I will stand for. Like that's being black. That's being a man.
Really. Yeah. Nah, that's fact. I love that you brought that up because you know I showed you where I grew up at, and I used to just skateboard and stuff. And then there's some black dude, him and his family moved there from Louisiana, and they moved to like my apartments when I was younger and stuff. And he was like, black people don't skate, and I'm like, nigga, I'm better at sports than you too. Like, it's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I play football, I run track, like I listen to rap and rock, and I fucking skateboard, and I'm good at all of them. So it's like,
that's black.
That's
black. Like to
being good at everything.
To be elite, like to me, to be elite, that's being black. Like,
Facts.
I'm great. I'm really great at everything. Like I really believe that.
Whatever I put my mind to and I love, like I'm gonna be cold at it. Yeah.
And the reason why I say that's black and not just like that's being a man, I really feel like it's deeper than just like everybody. Like I feel like everybody has access to being great, but some shit I just feel like you born with. Like some shit is really just in you. Like when you talk about sports, like being competitive, like we done played each other in like little games, and we be damn near about to fight to other people around. And then we'll be laughing when they trying to break us up. We're like, oh man, we ain't gonna actually fight. We just are both competitors, and we take a game of pool, a game of ping pong, a game of Uno, a game of spades. Anything. Like my life on the line because I take it serious.
Me and my homeboys used to we be coming back from practice and there'd be rocks in this little garden, and there'd be like poles, like light bulbs we walk by, and we be
try to hit it,
and just and niggas would just we have a spitting contest, and motherfuckers be ready to fight over it.
Anything, and it's like I feel like that's lacking today. Honestly, I feel
that heart, that grit.
I feel like it's so necessary. Like now, I feel like it doesn't change. Like I remember growing up and people were bullied, and bullying is never cool. But you learn something from it. Like if you got bullied or if you didn't get bullied, either way you learned your hierarchy in life. You learn how to stand up for yourself. You learn how to like make sure the bully knew, like, you can do that shit to that nigga, but you are not gonna play with me, my boy. And it's like nowadays the bullying is almost reversed. Like it's bullying to do anything that could insinuate in the future it's a possibility of it being bullying. It's like I can say, bro, your breast think I don't really want to sit by you. And they're like, you shouldn't be allowed to say that or feel like now the bullying is almost to have a separate opinion from the majority, whatever the majority is, right or wrong. Like,
how dare you have an opinion about a certain thing?
And that's not elite. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's funny because throughout history, the people that have always been the most loved are free thinkers. It's the people that think outside of the norm, because that's the only way you can grow. As long as you do the same thing, you'll never grow. And that's what's negative about being too set in your own ways. Also, like, to me, the biggest thing in life is to always question everything. Like, that's one of my core principles. Like, I actually have like a list of like rules I live by, and one of them is to question everything, because that forces you to be in a place of always growing, because you're never stuck in this space of this is just what it is. It's like, why? Right. You know what I mean? Right. I feel like I just went on a little rant.
No, but I mean, I feel like that still pulls back to just to the sense of just having knowledge of self, and just knowing self-worth, and just standing on who you are, just period, as a person. And then, I feel like that pulls back even farther to like, just being an anomaly and stuff, like, just fucking.
Going back to being an anomaly, what do you think is the hardest part about being a free thinker and like standing on your principles and more? Like, what's the hardest part about that?
I think connecting with people, just because, like, since the ideology is so different, that a lot of people aren't really with it, or they're not really, or they're not really, they're not really with it, or they don't really understand it. So it's kind of like, it's just harder to find people that you can connect with, because it's just so different, So it's just kind of like, maybe love friends, and they might seem you as kind of radical, you know what I mean? I feel like that's.
I think as far as that goes, it's dependent on if you can explain why you feel the way you feel. Like, we can be polar opposites on our views about anything, sports, whatever. If I can tell you why I feel the way I feel and it makes sense, it's a lot harder for you to look at it like, oh, that's ridiculous. I feel like our biggest issue is a lot of times we don't question why we think the way we think. Like, it was just given to us by whoever, your parents, your school, whatever. Like, it could be as simple as sports. Like, I'm a Falcons fan, and the Falcons have let me down throughout my life, but I'm a die Falcons. But I know why. I love Atlanta so much. I'm a Hawks fan. I'm a Falcons fan. I'm a Braves. Braves finally got us one, so it's like I can stand on the Braves. It's a lot harder, but I don't waver depending on how they play, because I know why I love them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of times we don't question why, and even more than that, we don't have an answer when somebody else say why, and it just allows us to always be separate. Right.
That's real. That is real.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right.
But back to being an anomaly. Anomaly is essentially you being separate. So how do you close the gap? Like, let's say you go to Tokyo. Cause I know we both been to Tokyo. We both love Tokyo. And it's hard to, obviously, you really an anomaly in Tokyo, right. As a black man. How do you, like, close that gap of kind of opening the door?
Or something? Yeah. I think just by doing things that you genuinely like to do. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's an important thing to travel. Like, don't do things that's just necessarily do because that's what you do when you travel, or because that's what people do in that city. Like, if I'm not really, like, in the beers, I'm not going to go to, like, Oktoberfest. I mean, maybe I will, but I will have a different experience versus, connecting with somebody versus somebody who just like brews and go to pubs and breweries and microbreweries and just crafts their own beer. Like, I would, like, obviously, let's say I like clothes, or like I do. So when I went to Tokyo, we went to like the Billionaire Boys Club store. You know, we went to my homeboy's store who has like they basically like a dope little closet where they sell like you know just mixtapes and clothes and just street culture and that type of music. Like go to clubs where they play the type of music I like. I feel like it's just important to do the things that's not really hip and cool there, but the things that you actually enjoy. That way you're around people that, you know, that are like-minded or, you know, enjoy the same thing. Because then, even if they're not necessarily a fan of you, you know, once they see that you enjoy that type of stuff and you might talk to them about it, it may give them like a newfound respect or like a new idea of like who you are. That's why I feel like it's important as a black man when you travel, like to hold some type of decency or respect, because you go into places where they ain't never dealt with like a black dude from America, and they think that we are how we are on TV. So when you go there and you leave in like a good image and opening the door for them and showing like open the door for past black people and showing like you know like who we really are, which is just me, you know, like you know, then I feel like they have like a new idea of like what are black people really like or what like this person is like, and I feel like that's like the key, you know.
Yeah, because I can't speak for you, but I know I've traveled and had long, in-depth conversations with random people. You know, on the random, like you ask for directions, y'all get to talking, and where you from, boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, y'all been talking for an hour, y'all hang out, whatever.
Right.
But I've had people outright say like, "Man, I didn't think you'd be like this." And it's like that immediate reaction is almost like offended, like, "Well, what did you think I'd be?" But once you can step out of that space, and I feel like what helped me a lot with that is having actual friends overseas, like usually who I would meet through other people. But like if you introduce me to somebody, I'm gonna look at them like an extension of you. So there's a whole nother level of respect they get from me. So now I won't be as easily offended because I know you wouldn't be cool with somebody who gonna try me to a degree.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
You could kind of let the guard down a little bit, and from having deeper conversations with people, now I'm more open to everybody. Period. But originally, it would have to be an extension. But speaking to people overseas, especially who like can just express, like to be honest, this is all I've ever seen through TV, internet, everything. So to meet a different version, you know, just a respectable person. I'm sorry if it sounds offensive, but I've never seen it. Now I can't go back to my original view of black people, because I've been exposed to something different, and it's really kind of life changing because it makes you question stuff you've been told. Like the first time I went to France, I thought they hated Americans.
Right. Everybody always say that, but I got nothing but love when I went out there.
Nothing but love. I didn't see, and I've probably been about 4 times. I've never experienced any kind of hatred in France.
And there's actually a lot of black people in France.
Exactly. Some of the finest, some of the finest French women, period. Like, not even just French women, just women, like beautiful women. And it's just funny how we're so naturally accustomed to like close ourselves off to the world. It's like, I feel like there's a fear in being a part of the group and there's a fear of being separate. But either way it goes, it's all an internal fear of like not being accepted. And like once you can accept yourself first of all, and you can learn to accept other people like openly, like look, right or wrong, whatever, I'm gonna at least give you a chance. And if you just an asshole, like that's still not like a determining factor of everybody. That's just how you think. And maybe that is how most of the people here think. But I know if they open up the way I open up, we're gonna be cool. Like it changes your view of the world, and life just gets better.
Right. But shit, man, that's pretty much why you got to get out here and travel, man, and just be yourself and connect with people who are being themselves, and just surrounding yourself with people who are still exploring just life and within and and just learn to be accepting and at the same time that's the overall word.
And I think what you said was the perfect answer to people who are trying to start traveling or people who travel, because a lot of people travel and they just do what people tell them to do.
Go to this place, do this.
Yeah, but you saying like, yo, do what you actually like doing, that's how you find actual friends. Like I have friends who I might see every 3 years. You know what I mean? If they come here, I'll go there or whatever. But we are good friends because there's a genuine relationship because we have a like mind in some area. Like if you love sports, go
to a sporting event.
Go to a sporting event.
Or even go to a bar when the game's going on and just partake.
Yeah, or go to the park. Like, man, we were hooping in Belize, man, and the whole like little town came out. We went to Cape Corker. It's like a little island, like off the coast.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's basically like all sand everywhere. They got a couple like hotels, and you can stay there. And like that town basically just stay on that little island. And it's just a little vibe. They had like a little basketball court. Me and the homies, we walk in. We were with some girls or whatever, and we saw them hooping. So look, hey man, we got nets. You know, they had a kickball. They playing with a kickball. We get the hoop. It's 2 people. They had like some stands. It's like 2 people in the stand. By the end of the game, it's like 80 people in the stands rooting for America versus Belize. We got our shirts off, and we lost by 1 point. But I was so hurt, man. Homie missed the layup, man.
That sound hard, man.
But that was some of the most fun. Like the whole rest of the trip, every time we saw any of the dudes we were playing with, hey, what's up? You know, where y'all going? Y'all need tips? Where should we eat? Go over there. Like, that's how you want to travel. You want to be you. Don't ever fall into this space of being this caricature of yourself, trying to fit into the ideology that's been pushed on you of what a traveler is, what a tourist is. Like, no, like the reason why I've always loved the name drunk tourist is not about being drunk or OD traveling. It's that spirit of when you overseas, or even if you in the country or whatever, when you in a different
that liquid
location,
truth and that liquid courage.
You really when you drunk, when you a drunk tourist, it's like, I'm never gonna see these people again. And you drunk, you really
you're not really overthinking that this is a good idea or a bad idea.
That is really you. Like when people be like, I don't really know who I am. Nah, when you a drunk tourist, that is the most genuine version of you. And when you can learn to just be that period without the liquid courage, life just gets better and people love you.
It's facts, man. But shit, man, that's a good ass episode right there. If I don't say so myself, you know what I mean.
Man. Shout out Portland.
Stuff. Yeah, it's in the trees, you know what I mean.
It's the trees. Right. Breathe better. Be
better.
Yeah,
make sure y'all tap in, follow us all social media, Drunk Tourist Podcast.
Personal Hoes in the Pocket on IG. Make sure you follow us on Clubhouse. We gotta get back on Clubhouse, bro. They be asking every day, like to death. YouTube. You know, Drunk
Twitter,
Tourist Podcast.
Make sure you check out Twitter, Drunk Tourist Pod. Yeah.
Everything,
really.
Yeah, just tap in.
Shout out the family.
Nah, for sure, man. You want to give it IG?
No, you know, mine's gone, so.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
you deleted?
Yeah, I did.
Man, I'm only on my IG on Monday and Saturday. So if you DM me, you only get
treating it like a work day.
Man, for real, man.
Tap in.
Clear mind, tap in. But shout out to family, man.